Hey everybody, it is Chris, and we've been looking at the new Player's Handbook. Today we are looking at the Rogue. We are getting close to the end of the classes here, and pretty close to the official release date of the new Player's Handbook. So hopefully, by watching these videos, you have a good idea of what is in there. So if you do decide it is something you want to purchase, there's no surprises. So today we'll be looking at the Rogue. I'll be showing you all the features. I'll be showing you the features as they are worded in the new Player's Handbook, so you know exactly what you are going to get on the inside. And I will ask, if you are one of the few people who are not subscribed to this channel already, please subscribe. I have been pushing for 100,000 subscribers, and as you can see, I'm getting very, very close. So any subscription would really help me out. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so let's look at the Rogue. Here is the Rogue class chart. As you can see, it's going to look pretty much the same as it did in 2014. Sneak attack is still there. It still scales at the exact same rate. Unlike many of the other classes, there's no new columns to take a look at. Obviously, the features are slightly different, and we're going to go through them right now. Now, up on your screen, you're going to see expertise. I have done them in on a black background, so they're a little easier to look at. Any wording you see in yellow, I have added. These are notes to myself just to remind myself of changes from the old 2014 Player's Handbook, as well as the playtest versions we saw. So at level 1, your Rogue will get expertise. You gain expertise in 2 skill proficiencies of your choice. And at Rogue level 6, you gain expertise in 2 more of your skill proficiencies of your choice. In 2014, it was almost the same. The only difference was you could select expertise in Thieves' Tools. Expertise in tools seems to be gone from the game, and I'm not quite sure the mechanical reason why. I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be something in the Dungeon Master's Guide to tie any tool check to a skill check or something like that. I know if you have proficiency in both, you're supposed to get advantage, but there's not a lot of guidance into how to run these skill checks that way. But this is the same as it was in the playtest. Sneak attack, the rogue standard here. Once per turn, you can deal an extra d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll if you have advantage on the roll, and the attack uses a finesse or ranged weapon. The extra damage type is the same as the weapons type. You don't need advantage on the attack roll if at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the target and the ally doesn't have the incapacitated condition, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. The extra damage increases as you gain rogue levels, as we just saw in the chart. This is the same. This is the same as 2014. The only real difference is in 2014 they don't bother to tell you the damage type. Here they clarify, yes, it is the weapons damage type. And level 1, we also get Thieves' Cant. You pick up various languages in the community where you applied your roguish talents. You know Thieves' Cant and one other language of your choice, which you choose from the languages table in Chapter 2. This has been boosted because the previous version didn't give you an extra language, so we're going to get one additional language. Not a big deal, but I'll take it. And also at level 1, we get Weapon Mastery. Your training with weapons allows you to use the mastery property of 2 kinds of weapons of your choice for which you have proficiency, such as daggers and short bows. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can change the kinds of weapons you chose. So if you are coming from the 2014 rules, this is brand new. If you are coming from the playtest, you saw this already. Now, the one thing I should mention about rogues, because several classes get weapon mastery, but rogues are a little bit different because unlike those other classes, they're not proficient in every weapon. They're proficient in all simple weapons and martial weapons that have either the light or the finesse property. So there are some weapons, particularly some of the two-handed martial weapons, that have weapon masteries that don't exist on any other weapons. Things like Grave and Cleave. Rogues will not have access to these masteries because they don't have proficiency with those weapons. One way to get around that would be to get proficiency with those weapons, which you could do. You could do it with a feat, probably not the way I'd do it. I'd probably do it with a dip in another class, like 1 level to get proficiency, if you want to get mastery of those weapons. However, I would imagine most rogues are most interested in the Vex and Nick properties, and those are available to several of the weapons already available to rogue. All right, so we're going to move on to level 2. And cunning action is the cunning action you know and you love. Has always been a good feature, still a good feature. You use your bonus action, you can dash, disengage, or hide. It doesn't use a resource cost. It's an excellent feature for rogues. At level 3, we get Steady Aim. This was from Tasha's. It was an optional class feature in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It is now part of the base class. As a bonus action, you give yourself advantage on your next attack roll on the current turn. You can use this feature only if you haven't moved during this turn, and after you use it, your speed is 0 until the end of your current turn. So this was also in the playtest, and it is a good feature. It's a good way to get your sneak attack set up. But it does prevent you moving, right? Which is fairly dramatic, though there is a subclass that is going to have a way to get around this. We'll be going over the subclasses after the base class. At level 4, we get our first ability score improvement, and the one thing that we should always note about rogues, because people tend to forget this, we think about fighters as the class that gets additional ability score improvements. The rogue gets an additional ability score improvement too at level 10. So we got 4, 8, 12, and 16, which are the levels that everyone gets ability score improvements, as well as 19. But rogues also get an extra one at level 10, which is very nice. Feats are very good in the new Player's Handbook, so getting one additional one, you will find lots to choose from. Now we're going to look at a brand new feature. So level 5, Cunning Strike. If you were following the playtest, you saw this, but for 2014, rogues had nothing like this. You have developed cunning ways to use your sneak attack. When you deal sneak attack damage, you can add one of the following Cunning Strike effects. Each effect has a die cost, which is the number of sneak attack dice you must forgo to add the effect. You remove the die before rolling, and the effect occurs immediately after the attack's damage is dealt. For example, if you add the poison effect, remove a d6 from the sneak attack's damage before rolling. If a cunning strike effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your dexterity modifier and proficiency bonus. So if you are making a rogue that is not dexterity based, you can make a strength based rogue. I've seen it done. Just be aware that the DCs of your cunning strikes are going to be based on your dexterity. You do not get to choose. So here are the options that we're going to get at level 5. We're going to get some more options later on in our career. So we get poison, costs 1d6. You add a toxin to your strike, forcing the target to make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the target has the poison condition for 1 minute, which is very nice. At the end of each of its turns, the poison target repeats the save, ending the effect on itself on a success. To use this effect, you must have the poisoner's kit on your person. Basically, up to a minute, but if they make their Constitution saving throw, nothing happens. Trip, cost 1d6. If the target is large or smaller, must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or have the prone condition. And withdraw, cost 1d6. Immediately after the attack, you move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And by the way, that's not part of your normal movement, as I understand it. So, like I said, brand new feature. If you were following the playtest, there was another option called Disarm. That's not here anymore. Okay, so poison, trip, withdraw. I think they all could be good in the right circumstances. None of them are very expensive. It's 1d6 of your sneak attack dice. So you're just going to have to look each time you attack and you're delivering a sneak attack. You'll want to think about whether any of these are worth doing, and sometimes they won't. If you want to do the maximum amount of damage, then you're not going to want to do any of these. But depending if you want to debuff your enemy somehow or inhibit their movement or just get out of melee because you didn't want to be there, then maybe one of these is worth it. And level 5, Uncanny Dodge. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to have the attack's damage against you round down. This is something rogues have always had, and it's kind of necessary because rogues, one of the things they're not particularly good at is defense. They tend not to have great armor class, so having some kind of defense where you can reduce the damage you take, and they don't have the most hit points either, by the way. So this at least mitigates some of that deficiency. It doesn't make the rogues great at defense, but at least it's something. And then level 7, we get evasion. Speaking of helping defense a bit, you can nimbly dodge out of the way of certain dangers when you're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage. The most obvious examples of this would be things like the Fireball spell or certain Dragon's Breaths. You instead take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw and only half damage if you fail. You can't use this feature if you have the incapacitated condition. So same level, same feature as the 2014 Rogue. The only difference is the 2014 Rogue didn't say that you couldn't use it if you were incapacitated. So that's new. There's a new restriction on this. Most of the time, you're not incapacitated, so it shouldn't be a big deal, but it's there, just so you know. All right, level 7 Reliable Talent. Whenever you make an ability check that uses one of your skill or tool proficiencies, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. This is from 2014, but there's two major changes you should know about. The first one is the old version came in at level 11, so this is coming in a lot sooner. Level 7, that's in the foreseeable future, even at the start of a campaign. Level 11, sometimes you didn't even get there. And previously it was on any ability check that you added proficiency, so there were certain little loopholes there. Like if you were playing a Heron Gone where you had your proficiency bonus to initiative, you could use Reliable Talent on initiative. So that loophole's been closed. For most rogues, you won't notice that difference. What you will definitely notice is how much sooner you get this feature. At level 11, you're going to get Improved Cunning Strike. You can use up to 2 Cunning Strike effects when you deal sneak attack damage, paying the die cost for each effect. This is, again, new, obviously, because Cunning Strikes is new, though this was in the playtest. And I don't know if I want to do 2 Cunning Strike effects very often, because you're paying the cost for each one. You're not going to have much sneak attack left by the time you start piling on multiple Cunning Strikes. But maybe you want to back away with a withdraw and you want to poison them, right? Well, you could do that now, but it would cost you 2d6 from your sneak attack. And then level 14, we're going to get Devious Strike. So this is going to be Cunning Strike scaling. So again, this is going to be brand new from for the Rogue. So you've practiced new ways to use your sneak attack deviously. The following effects are now among your Cunning Strike options, and these will be ones that you could use with Improved Cunning Strike as well. So if you wanted to do multiple effects and include one of these effects, you can. What you should notice on your screen right now is the costs are all higher. So the ones you got at level 5 are all 1d6. These ones are 2d6 or more. In one case, a lot more. So we have Daze. This is the least expensive of these new options at 2d6. Target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or on its next turn, it can do only one of the following: move, or take an action, or a bonus action. If you want to debuff your enemy and maybe they're immune to poison, then Daze might be something you would consider. Nobody's going to be immune to Daze, but if they make their Constitution saving throw, nothing is going to happen. Knockout, cost 6d6. This is very expensive. At level 14, this is almost your entire sneak attack pool. Target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or it has the unconscious condition for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. The unconscious target repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. So even if it fails to save, it might only last 1 round. Unconscious, of course, is pretty much the best condition you can get on an enemy. They're completely out of the fight. But yeah, this is one heck of a gamble, because if they make their saving throw, you just lost 66 damage and got nothing. This is an all or nothing thing. But definitely, if it's a case where you don't want to kill the enemy, but you want to, knock them out, then I could see doing this. That's a very roguish thing. So I appreciate this being here. I don't know how much I'd use it, because it's such a gamble. And Obscure costs 3d6. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw, or it has the blinded condition until the end of its next turn. One nice thing here is we're now accessing a different saving throw. So what we've seen up to now are Constitution saving throws. So here we have a dexterity saving throw That's often quite a bit lower, especially on higher challenge rating creatures, which at 14th level were more likely to be facings. So this one might be worth it. Blinded is pretty good. 3d6 is, a fair bit of damage, but it's at 14th level, we're still getting most of our sneak attack dice. So I could see doing Obscure on occasion. I think it has a better chance of landing than these other features. At level 15, we get Slippery Mind. Your Cunning Mind is exceptionally difficult to control. You gain proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. So rogues have always had Slippery Mind. It has always given them Wisdom saving throw proficiency. So we're adding on Charisma saving throw proficiency. Now, in terms of saving throw value, Charisma is not as valuable as Wisdom or Dexterity or Constitution. So those are the big three. Charisma is one of the small three. I'll take it. It's one extra saving throw proficiency. So yeah, no complaints. Then at level 18, Elusive. You're so evasive that attackers rarely gain the upper hand against you. No attack roll can have advantage against you unless you have the incapacitated condition. This is from 2014, so rogues have always had this. Level 19, Epic Boon. You gain an Epic Boon feat or another feat of your choice for which you qualify. Every class gets this. And then at level 20, Stroke of Luck. This is our capstone. You have a marvelous knack for succeeding when you need to. If you fail a d20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. In 2014, it would turn a failure into a success. So getting a 20 means that if it's an attack roll, you just turned it into a critical hit. So critical hits with rogues, because of sneak attack dice doubling, are a big deal. So this is a very nice capstone for a rogue and a very significant improvement from the 2014 version. Now, I have previously mentioned that in my opinion, the rogue is the weakest of the classes in the new 2024 Player's Handbook. In 2014, I said it was the monk, but the monk got a lot of stuff. So they've pushed ahead of the rogue and probably other classes as well. They're doing really well. As for the rogue, they did get some stuff. There's no question that the rogue is more powerful than they were in 2014. We're adding weapon mastery. It replaced nothing. It's just a bonus. Extra language, big deal, but still, steady aim is now core. So if you were not playing with optional class features from Tasha's, that's an increase. Cunning Strike, whether you use it or not, it's an option that you have now that you didn't have before. Reliable Talent coming in significantly early. Then Cunning Strike improves and Devious Strike gives us new options. We're going to add Charisma Saving Throw proficiency with Slippery Mind, and our capstone is better. So the rogue just got buffed across the board. The only way I can see or that it maybe is less powerful is if you were going to abuse a Reliable Talent with Harengon or something like that. But for the most part, for most rogues, they're just going to be better. But this list is smaller than rogues I've always considered near the bottom, right? I said monks were at the bottom, but rogues weren't that much higher. Same with barbarians. But if I look at the list that the barbarians got, I look at the list that the rogues got, including with the subclasses, I think the barbarian did a little bit better than the rogue. So yeah, that's why I figure the rogue is still at the bottom. But I'll tell you, the difference between rogue and barbarian and fighter and, even ranger, it's not that much. So don't worry too much about the fact that I said rogues are the least powerful. Somebody's got to be the least powerful. But I don't think it's a significant difference. So I still think rogues are fine. So we are going to look at the subclasses. The 4 subclasses that we see in the new Player's Handbook are Arcane Trickster, Assassin, Soulknife, and Thief. So we saw, 3 of those in the old Player's Handbook. So all 3 subclasses from the old Player's Handbook have been revised. And the Soulknife, which was from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, is here as well. It has had very minor revision, but it has been revised as well. So we will begin with the Arcane Trickster. In my opinion, as far as 2014 rogue subclasses went, this was by far the winner, the best of the 3. So let's take a look and see what they've done. At level 3, we have spell casting. Obviously, this is the big thing, is that Arcane Tricksters get spells. We're going to get cantrips. We're going to know 3 cantrips. We get Mage Hand. That one is set. And then you can choose 2 other cantrips from the wizard's spell list. Whenever you gain a rogue level, you can replace one of your cantrips, except for Mage Hand. You're stuck with that one. And another wizard cantrip with another wizard cantrip of your choice. And when you get to level 10, you're going to get an additional cantrip. So the ability to replace your cantrip is new. Otherwise, this is the same as 2014. This is the one that's really changed from 2014 for the better. You prepare the list of level 1 plus spells that are available for you to cast with this feature. To start, choose 3 level 1 wizard spells. Full stop. So the old Arcane Trickster limited you to mostly illusion and enchantment spells. And now that restriction is gone. So you can choose, you want the shield spell, no problem. You want the find familiar spell, no problem. Furthermore, because of the changes to spell casting, this isn't Arcane Trickster specifically, if you select ritual spells, you can cast them as rituals, not using your spell slots. Spell slots, by the way, have not changed for the Arcane Trickster. They will be the same as they are in your 2014 Player's Handbook. And whenever you gain a rogue level, you can replace one spell on your list with another wizard spell for which you have spell slots. The spellcasting ability is still intelligence, and now we can use a spellcasting focus, arcane focus, which they couldn't do before. So spell school restriction is gone. Using a focus is added. Otherwise, it's very similar. Level 3 Mage Hand Legerdemain. I've never been sure how to pronounce that. I'm going to say Legerdemain. When you cast Mage Hand, you cast it as a bonus action. That's new. So Mage Hand is normally an action to cast. The old Arcane Trickster cast it as an action. So we're going to get the ability to cast it as a bonus action. Very nice. And you can make the Spectral Hand invisible. You can control the hand as a bonus action, and through it, you can make dexterity, sleight of hand checks. The old version talked about using, thieves' tools with your Mage Hand Legerdemain. So, you could open locks from a distance and things like that. Whether you can still do that, I'm really not certain. I mean, if you're just making a thieves' tools check, not a sleight of hand check, then, I would imagine not. Whether sleight of hand and using thieves' tools and open locks is going to be, married together in the Dungeon Master's Guide, I don't know. I think they might be, but I'm not sure. So this is what we have for now. Overall, definitely better. Being able to cast Mage Hand as a bonus action means that we're not giving up a turn in combat to have it, which we definitely want to have it in combat. Partially because of what we're going to be getting later on. But at level 9, we're going to get Magical Ambush. And the old version had this. If you were hidden and you cast a spell, then they had disadvantage on their saving throw. Now it says if you have the invisible condition when you cast a spell on a creature, it has disadvantage on any saving throw it makes against the spell on the same turn. Now, if you are hidden, you do have the invisible condition, so that counts. But now you could cast the invisibility spell because you are an Arcane Trickster. You could have it, and then you would still get this. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. Eventually, you can have greater invisibility with an Arcane Trickster, not for a long, long time. But if you did, any spell you cast, they would automatically have disadvantage against. Of course, that would be using your concentration. Just keep that in mind. Level 13, we're going to get Versatile Trickster. Gain the ability to distract targets with your Mage Hand when you use the trip option of your Cutting Strike on a creature. You can also use that option on another creature within 5 feet of the Spectral Hand. Alright, so the 2014 Player's Handbook Arcane Trickster gave you the ability to use your Mage Hand as a bonus action to give yourself advantage on an attack roll. I consider that a pretty bad feature. For one thing, you couldn't cast Mage Hand as a bonus action, which meant you spent your first turn just setting it up. And second, how valuable is that? I mean, you could use Cunning Action to hide and give yourself advantage. Maybe you had nowhere to hide, but then once Tasha's came around, then you had Steady Aim to give yourself advantage. So we have multiple ways to give ourselves advantage. So I didn't consider that a particularly valuable ability. I don't think this is that great an ability either. I don't know how much I'm going to be doing Trip with Cunning Strike. It's of the 3 that you got at 5th level, I think it is the one that least impresses me, because prone is cheap in the 2024 Player's Handbook. You have things like the Topple Mastery that can prone enemies with every single attack at no cost to damage. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to do trip. So we can trip one more creature. Maybe that makes it worthwhile. Maybe, depending on the situation. But I don't think this is that great. And then at level 17, Spell Thief. You gain the ability to magically steal the knowledge of how to cast a spell from another spellcaster immediately after a creature casts a spell that targets you or includes you in its area of effect. You can take a reaction to force the creature to make an intelligence saving throw. DC equals your spell save DC. On a failed save, you negate the spell's effect against you, and you steal the knowledge of the spell if it's at least level 1 and of a level you can cast. That's a pretty big restriction because you are an Arcane Trickster. It doesn't need to be a wizard spell. For the next 8 hours, you have the spell prepared. The creature can't cast it until the 8 hours have passed. Once you steal a spell with this feature, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. This has been improved from the 2014 version. 2014 version, the spellcaster made the save based on their spellcasting ability. Now it's automatically intelligence. So if they're a charisma-based caster or a wisdom-based caster, they might not have a great intelligence save. So that's better for you. It's still not a great feature. When you are 17th level, you are sometimes and hit with a spell that you're really concerned about. Probably it's higher than 4th level. It's the level issue that's the thing. As an Arcane Trickster, yes, you can cast spells, but you're barely a spellcaster. You're 1/3 of a spellcaster. So, at 17th level, you're going to be getting hit with big spells, and Spell Thief just isn't going to work. I don't think it's a great feature. The thing about Arcane Tricksters is the features are not that great, except for spellcasting. Spellcasting is really great. And things like True Strike. That's a cantrip that's just obvious for a rogue to take. Very, very nice. I think the Arcane Trickster is strong from spellcasting alone, and removing the restriction where you had to take enchantment and illusion spells just makes them better than ever, even though the other features don't blow me away. The level 9 feature is pretty good. The magical ambush one, where they get disadvantage on their saving throw if you're invisible, that one is a good feature. But the other ones, they don't impress me that much. But adding spellcasting on a rogue is big. And so I still think this is a 4 out of 5 subclass. All right, so the next subclass we're going to look at is the Assassin. I saw this one getting crapped a bit online. I'm not sure I agree. I'm not going to be giving the Assassin any 5 out of 5s, I'll tell you that. But the idea that they're not good, I have to disagree. Let's go through the features. Level 3, we're going to get Assassinate. You're adept in ambushing a target, granting you the following benefits. First, you have advantage on initiative rolls. Right off the bat, we get a banger feature. That's a level 3 feature, and advantage on initiative rolls is big. It's a big deal. Surprising strikes. During the first round of each combat, no resource necessary, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn. That's the same as the old Assassin. If your sneak attack hits any target during that round, the target takes extra damage of the weapon's damage type equal to your rogue level. So this will eventually be 20 extra damage on round 1. You're attacking with advantage, so you're probably going to hit. You're doing your sneak attack. You want it to be your big damage attack, and you're going to do anywhere from 3 to 20 extra damage depending on your level. That's not bad. I mean, before you got a critical if they were surprised, which was nice when you had surprise. But here, this is just going to be every combat, right? We're rolling with initiative, or initiative with advantage. We are definitely a dexterity-based character, and we're definitely going to be taking alert as our origin feat. I mean, it's the obvious one for rogues anyways. It's the one on criminal, and so we're going to have a really strong initiative modifier, and with advantage, we're going to be going before the enemies almost all the time. Before at least one enemy should be every combat. And then, so we're going to be able to use surprising strikes in pretty much every combat and get basically our level in additional DPR. That's what it's going to end up being. That's pretty good. And I think it's better than the old Assassin feature, which was the best feature that Assassin's got. But just the consistency here. It's not circumstantial. Most of the time you don't have surprise. So yeah, I think this is a good change for the Assassin. And then we get our ribbon. So at level 3 Assassin's Tools, you gain a Disguise Kit and a Poisoner's Kit, and you have proficiency with them, which is fine. 2 extra tool proficiencies. They're obviously thematic for the Assassin, and, it doesn't cost us anything. And then level 9, Infiltration Expertise. You are expert at the following techniques that aid your infiltrations. Masterful mimicry. You can unerringly mimic another person's speech, handwriting, or both if you've spent at least 1 hour studying them. Now, in the old Assassin in 2014 Player's Handbook, this feature came at level 13, and it took 3 hours. Now, both the old version and the playtest gave advantage on charisma deception checks made while pretending to be someone else. That's not there anymore. And the old level 9 ability, which was also called Infiltration Expertise, it was terrible. So you can see here I've written was ass, just to remind myself. It required 7 days of setup. The rest of your party won't mind you using 7 days to take one of your abilities. So it was awful. Dead level for the old Assassin. Now, Masterful Mimicry, this is obviously super circumstantial, but it's not all we get. We also get Roving Aim. Your speed isn't reduced to 0 using steady aim. Brand new. So you are the only rogue that is going to be able to move after you've used steady aim. Now, steady aim has 2 movement restrictions. The first is you can't have moved yet on your turn before you use it, and the second is your speed is reduced to 0 after you use it. So this only affects your speed, which means the initial restriction that you can't have moved before using steady aim should still apply. Still, being able to move after doing steady aim, no other rogue can do it. Assassin can do it. This is something that's going to come up all the time. You're going to use your steady aim all the time now. So yeah, this is a pretty good feature. Now, not fantastic, but when I compare it to what Assassins had before, this is just a lot better than that. At level 13, we'll get Envenom Weapons. When you use the poison option of your Cunning Strike, that's the one. It costs 1d6. If they fail their saving throw, they get the poison condition for up to a minute, and they get a Constitution saving throw round after round to get rid of it. Okay, so that's the poison strike. So the target also takes 2d6 poison damage whenever it fails the saving throw. This damage ignores resistance to poison damage. So 2 things here. The first is the cost of doing the poison option of Cunning Strike is 1d6. That means that if they fail their saving throw and you use it, you get 2d6 damage. So if you consider that they maybe have a 50-50 chance of making their saving throw, you're essentially using the poisoned option for free. You're not giving up damage at all, on average, right? Sometimes you're doing more, sometimes you're doing less, but in the long run, it should even out. The second thing is that they're taking 2d6 poison damage whenever they fail the saving throw. That means if they fail the initial saving throw, they take 2d6, and if they fail the saving throw on the following round, they'll take another 2d6, and you don't have to do anything. Then now you're getting 4d6, and it only cost you 1d6 damage to do it in the first place. This is just an obvious thing to do against any enemy that you're not certain is immune to poison. It's just going to be better than straight sneak. So you made your sneak attack have basically an automatic poison addition that in the end isn't going to cost you any damage. It's just going to cause the poison condition fairly often. Very nice. This is good feature. And then level 17, Death Strike. When you hit with your sneak attack on the first round of combat, which should be every single combat, you have advantage on initiative, a big bonus on initiative, and you're going to have advantage on all attacks against enemies. And even if you don't win initiative, you can still use your steady aim and get advantage and get a sneak attack. The target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw based on your dexterity, or the attack's damage is doubled against the target. That includes your sneak attack damage, and that includes your assassinate bonus, which at level 17 is 17 additional points of damage, now becomes 34 points of damage. So this is the same as the playtest. The old version worked against a surprise creature only, and it doubled the damage. Well, this is going to be every combat. Every combat, you're going to get Death Strike. And so the first time you hit in a combat, you are going to add your assassin level to the damage, and then you're going to double the total damage. That's a lot of damage on one hit. Now, is that going to out-damage like your party fighters and barbarians? Probably not. But it's definitely going to out-damage other rogues. Other rogues are not going to be able to do this kind of damage. Now, it's going to be one attack per combat, but it's the first attack. That's a nice one for it to be. I think the assassin, there's no dead levels now. The weakest level is level 9, and that's the one where you can move after using steady aim, which is still not bad. The assassin used to be just filled with dead levels. You took it for level 3, so you didn't even get advantage on initiative, but you got advantage on attacks against creatures who hadn't taken their turn yet in combat. It was often taken just for that, and then maybe you get surprised once in a while, and then you can do your cool stuff. And that was it. Now we have a ton. Like, for most improved, assassin is definitely on the list. Is it the most powerful rogue subclass? No, I don't think it is the most powerful rogue subclass in this book. I'm not even sure it's not the least powerful, but the difference is almost nothing. So yeah, this is a 3 out of 5, I think. So yeah, I'm not sure I get why people are crapping on it. I think it's reasonably good. All right, next subclass we're going to look at is the Soulknife. This one got the least number of changes. So this one is from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And I think it's a good subclass, but it has one glaring problem with it, which we're going to talk about because they kind of address it and they kind of don't address it. Let's look at the features. We're going to begin with psionic power. You harbor a wellspring of psionic energy within yourself. It is represented by your psionic energy dice, which fuel certain powers you have from this subclass. The Soulknife energy dice table shows the number of these dice you have when you reach certain levels in Rogue. And here it is. Level 3, you're going to get 4 d6s. Level 5, you get 6 d8s. Level 9, you get 8 d8s. Level 13, you get 10 d10s. And level 17, you get 12 d12s. This is based on your rogue level, and in the old version, the number of dice increased with your proficiency bonus. So you could multiclass out of rogue, and the number of dice would still increase, though the type of die would not increase. So you would stay at d6s, even if you had 12 of them. But now it is solely based, so you're getting a lot of incentive here to just stick with rogue. Any features in the subclass that use psionic energy dice use only the dice from the subclass. They say that because the Psy Warrior from the fighter also has psionic energy dice, so you can't mix and match. Some of your powers expend a psionic energy die as specified in the power's description, and you can't use a power if it requires you to use a die when your psionic energy dice are all expended. You regain one of your expended psionic energy dice when you finish a short rest. That's new. It used to be just after a long rest, I'm pretty sure. And you gain them all when you finish a long rest. So we're going to have 2 ways to use our psionic energy dice at level 3. The first is Psi Bolstered Knack. If you fail an ability check using a skill or a tool for which you have proficiency, you can roll 1 psionic energy die and add the number rolled to the check, potentially turning the failure into a success. The die is expended only if the roll then succeeds. So if you fail a check, why not? Throw a die on there. A worst case scenario, you keep it. No change from the old version. And then Psychic Whispers, you can establish telepathic communication between you, yourself, and others as a magic action. Choose 1 or more creatures you can see, up to a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus. Then you roll 1 psionic energy die to determine the duration in hours. And then you all have telepathy during that time. Some language changes here, but mechanically it is identical. So we're now going to talk about the issue with the Soulknife and their attempt to fix it. You can manifest shimmering blades of psychic energy. whenever you take the attack action or make an opportunity attack, you can manifest a psychic blade in your free hand and make the attack with that blade. The magic blade has the following traits. So simple melee weapon, d6 psychic damage, plus your ability modifier used for the attack roll. You can use strength with it if you want. Properties, it has the finesse property and the thrown property, range 60 feet / 120 feet for long range. It has the Vex Mastery, which gives you advantage on your next attack against that creature if you hit with it. And this is a free mastery, so you don't have to select it. You're just going to get it. The blade vanishes immediately after it hits or misses its target, and it leaves no mark if it deals its damage. After you attack with the blade on your turn, you can make a melee or ranged attack with a second blade using a bonus action on the same turn if your other hand is free to create it. The damage die of this bonus attack is a d4 instead of a d6. So this feature has just been improved. So first off, never used to have a weapon mastery. Now it has the Vex Mastery for free. You don't have to select it. You get that for free. Second, the range used to be 60 feet. Now it's 60 feet, but a long range of 120 feet, so you can potentially throw it further than you could before. And the other change is whenever you take the attack action or make an opportunity attack, it used to be, it didn't work for opportunity attacks, and it almost fixes the problem that the old Soulknife had. There is a little bit of a gap, and that is there are features in the game that give reaction attacks to another player. The Battle Master has a feature that does that. Those are not included here. If I am given a reaction weapon attack with my Soulknife, this does not let me use the Psychic Blades. All right, level 9 Soul Blades. This has always been a very good feature for Soulknife, and it has not changed. So you gain some new powers for your Psychic Blades. Homing Strikes, these are both actually really nice. But Homing Strikes, if you make an attack roll with your Psychic Blade and miss the target, you can roll one psionic energy die and add the number rolled to the attack roll. If this causes the attack to hit, the die is expended. And so once again, you might as well. You missed, you might as well roll the die. Worst case scenario, you keep the die. And this is just going to make your attacks far more accurate. And you have lots of dice, and you don't need them for a lot of other things. And there's a lot of features that say if it doesn't work, you keep the die. First time you use it, you don't have to use a die. In my experience, Soul Knives have a ton of dice that they just can't use all of until they get to level 9, because then they're going to start to miss once in a while and use this and get hits instead, and that will start to use up their dice. But it will mean a lot more hits for your rogue. And then Psychic Teleportation. As a bonus action, you manifest a Psychic Blade, expend one psionic energy die, and roll it and throw the blade at an unoccupied space you can see up to a number of feet away equal to 10 times the number rolled. You then teleport to that space, and the blade vanishes. I'm going to note this is the lowest level that an Arcane Trickster could take Misty Step. And we're going to get Psychic Teleportation. And much cheaper, because again, we have lots of dice. So very nice level for Soulknife. Level 13, we're going to get Psychic Veil. You can weave a veil of psychic static to mask yourself. As a magic action, you gain the invisible condition for 1 hour, or until you dismiss this effect, and it ends early for all the same things that would end the invisibility spell. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you spend a psionic energy die, no action required, to restore your use of it. In other words, this is free for one use, and then one psionic energy die for additional uses. That's pretty cheap. Pretty cheap for what is essentially the invisibility spell minus the concentration. That's what this is. Decent feature. Yeah. And then we're going to move on to level 17, Rend Mind. You can sweep your Psychic Blades through a creature's mind. When you use your Psychic Blades to do sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force that target to make a Wisdom saving throw based on your Dexterity modifier. If the save fails, the target has the stun condition for 1 minute. Stun target repeats its save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, or unless you expend 3 psionic energy dice to use it again. So this has no change from the old version, and It is a reasonably good feature, but it is expensive. One use of it free, which you absolutely should do, and additional uses not so free. And suddenly, those endless psychic energy dice you had at earlier levels are not endless at all. They will run out quickly if you want to use Rend Mind a lot, but it is very powerful if it works. You just think about Stunning Strike. That's a Constitution saving throw, and it lasts 1 round. We're talking a Wisdom saving throw, and it lasts 1 minute. So yeah, this is very, very nice, but very, very expensive. But overall, I think this is a good subclass. I've always thought this subclass was pretty good. And the main complaint I always heard from people are, what about, reaction attacks? And yeah, I talk about, well, I guess you got to hold a dagger or something. Well, you can get away without that now, though you still might want a dagger to access Nick attack, which otherwise you're using your bonus action to attack again. And that, I kind of wish they had given it Nick instead of Vex, or given, maybe the main attack Vex and then the second attack Nick. But this is already a pretty strong subclass, so I'm not sure how many boosts it needed. The one disadvantage of this subclass to keep in mind is you're never going to find a magic psychic blade. All right, you're going to find magic weapons. You're not going to find a magic psychic blade. So that's probably the biggest disadvantage of playing a Soulknife. Nevertheless, I think they're pretty good, so I'm going to give them 3.5 out of 5. So the Thief got some very interesting changes. I was never a big fan of the 2014 Thief. I mean, if you were to get to level 17, I guess, then they're really good because you got the extra action on the first round of combat, which is very, very good. But long way to get to there. Use Magic Device was kind of cool, but kind of weird, and had some weird interactions. So yeah, I never played a Thief in an actual campaign. I played them in a couple one-shots. So let's see where they've landed. Iconic feature, Fast Hands. As a bonus action, you can do one of the following. Sleight of Hand, make a Dexterity, Sleight of Hand check to pick a lock or disarm a trap with Thieves' Tools, or to pick a pocket. Don't care, right? I'm not doing these things in combat, so I don't care if it's a bonus action or an action. And use an object. Take the Utilize action, or take the magic action to use a magic item that requires that action. That's been significantly, hugely changed. So the old version gave you the Use an Object action, which allowed you to do things like throw Alchemist Fire and Acid Flasks and the Holy Water. Not anymore. Those items now require either an action, or you can replace an attack to use them. So this doesn't apply to those items anymore. However, it does apply to magic items. So if you get a wand, for example, you can use Fast Hands to use it. So this is going to be really powerful, but very, very circumstantial, because you need those items that use a magic action that you can use. Now, eventually you'll be able to use scrolls, but not at level 3, and to be able to do this effectively. And that is going to probably use up things like charges, or use up the scrolls. I think it has put the potential of the Thief very high, but it really depends. Depends on your campaign. If you're not going to get a lot of magic items, Fast Hands is worse. Yeah, that's Fast Hands. Level 3, second story work. You've trained to get into especially hard to reach places, granting you these benefits. Climber, you gain a climb speed equal to your speed. Jumper, you determine your jump distance using your dexterity other than your strength. The old version gave you your dexterity modifier an extra feet in jumping rather than using dexterity. And the playtest version allowed you to climb on ceilings. That has been removed. This is a ribbon. Climb speed, okay. And you can jump a little bit further. Okay. But not any further than, the barbarian can. So, this is a ribbon. It's fine. And level 3, I think, is at level 3, unless I've got magic items, I'm going to be disappointed with the Thief. I got to be honest. Fast Hands is one of those ones where I'm going to be looking to later levels when surely we'll have lots of spell scrolls and stuff I can use with my bonus action, but not being able to use things like Acid Flasks and stuff, that hurts a bit, I gotta say. Level 9 is Supreme Sneak. You gain the following Cutting Strike option. Stealth Attack, cost 1d6. So this is a new option for you. You have the Hide Action's Invisible Condition. if you have the hide action's invisible condition, this attack doesn't end that condition on you if you end the turn behind 3/4 total or 3/4 cover or total cover. Now, if you are behind 3/4 cover or total cover and level 9, you could use your cunning action to hide again. So this will prevent you having to make that check, and it will save you your bonus action, but it will cost you a d6 in damage. Not bad. I mean, will be useful some of the time, but some of the time, if my bonus action is available, probably like at level 9, I've got reliable talent, probably have expertise in stealth. I'm probably going to be able to, if I was hidden in the first place, I'm probably going to be able to hide again. So I don't think this is huge, but it's okay. I'm not thrilled with giving up damage with my sneak attack if that's all I'm doing is hiding and sneak attacking. But I could see cases where this could be useful. And then level 13, use magic device, got a major overhaul. All right, so this is what it says now. You've learned how to maximize use of magic items, granting you the following benefits. Attunement. You can attune up to 4 magic items at once. That alone is good. That is good. This is what artificers get, and it's exciting when artificers get it. It'll be exciting when your thief gets it for the same reason. And it's not alone this is just one of several things here. Charges. Whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges, roll a d6. On a roll of 6, you use the property without expending the charges. 1 chance in 6 you don't use the charge. We're talking wands, staves, rods. So this one's more of a ribbon. And then scrolls. You can use any spell scroll using your intelligence as your spellcasting ability for the spell. Now, one thing I should mention is, as a Arcane Trickster, we're potentially focusing more on intelligence. As a thief, probably not. If you want to focus on intelligence being a thief, then what you would really need to do is get True Strike. And you would do that by Magic Initiate, would probably be the best way to do it. Then you could focus on intelligence. But just keep in mind, your armor class is going to pay for it. So is your initiative. I don't know how good your intelligence is going to be. If the spell is a cantrip or a first level spell, you can cast it reliably. If the scroll contains a higher level spell, you must succeed on an intelligence arcana check, DC 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, you can cast a spell from the scroll. On a failed check, the scroll disintegrates. Now, you are 13th level. By the way, the old version had you ignore class, race, and level requirements for magic items. And this created mechanical issues for DCs because it would ask for, the DC is equal to your spellcasting DC, but thieves didn't have a spellcasting DC. This version here is same as the playtest. Now, what I noted here is if you were proficient in Arcana at level 13 as a rogue, you cannot roll below 10 on the ability check, meaning you should be okay with any scroll as long as you take expertise. So take expertise in Arcana, and you're not going to need to make this roll because it's going to, even if you roll a 1, you're going to succeed. And I also want to note that since Smite is now a spell, Divine Smite or Shining Smite or Searing Smite, whatever smite you want, they can be scribed onto scrolls, and you could use them as a thief. All right? So, not a bad feature. Definitely very, very different than the old feature. But yeah, I would say this of the classes here, or the subclasses here for Rogue in the 2024 Player's Handbook, this is probably the strongest 13th level feature. And level 17, Thief's Reflexes is fantastic. Always has been fantastic. You are adept at laying out ambushes and quickly escaping danger. You can take 2 turns during the first round of any combat. You take your first turn at your normal initiative and your second turn at your initiative minus 10. Of every class feature in the game, this is one of the best. But you don't get it till level 17 in straight Rogue. So, you're not going to see Thief's Reflexes a lot. But it is exceptional. It's an exceptional feature. But yeah, it is level 17, and I got to keep that in mind as I'm going to rate the Thief Rogue, because I got to tell you, at level 3, I don't love it. Fast hands, people are talking about, wow, you can use magic devices now. That's so great. Yeah, it's great if you got them. I don't know how many magical devices you got at level 3. You know, it's one of those things that it will get better as you go up in levels, but at level 3, it's worse than ever. And the only other feature we're getting at that level is really a ribbon. So at level 3, I kind of don't like the thief. It's not until level 9 that we start to see stuff come in, and even the level 9 feature I don't love. It's level 13 where we get our first really good feature, and then level 17 we get an amazing feature. If I'm playing a high level character and I can choose I'm playing a rogue, then I would consider thief. At lower levels, I don't know if I would. I'm going to give them a 3 out of 5 because I think they're good at high level, but I'm not certain they're so great at lower levels. So those are all the rogues. And I only have one more class to go, which is the wizard, which I will be doing in my next video. But before I do that, I want to thank some of my patrons. These are Thaumaturge level patrons. Thank you to Airhead, Alex R, Vo, Bloody 9, Atherzone, Brian, CJ, Chris C, Corel, Dank Train, Dewey Cheatham and Howe, Douglas Reynolds, Eden, Aaron, Eric Wasserman, Evan Getting, FBKO5, Gishlife, Guy Luz, Athasis, Heisenberger, Jay Gemmel, James Makla, James Sprague, Jiruru, John Matera, Jonathan Zucker, Justin Times, Mark D, Math Guy Dave, Mr. Bratt, Mike Canoid, PCZ, Quicksilver HG80, Ramen Goblin, Scott Parsons, Tim Gerbafic, and William Whittles. Thanks all so much for joining me. Hope to see you soon. Until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.